Hi, I'm Loretta, and I'm really glad that you showed up today. Welcome to my sewing room.
Hello everyone. Now what we have here today is the large star that we completed in the first two videos and the small stars and half stars that we completed in the last video. So today what I'm going to show you is how to set these in to this large star. We're going to start with the half stars, and then next we'll set in the full stars, and those will go in the corners. And then this will complete one star block for the Star Upon Stars quilt. So today, now we're going to be back at the sewing machine. The last video was all about cutting and pressing. There was a lot of cutting. But these stars came out really nice. They're nice and flat, and they're the perfect size, exactly what size you need them. So now we'll go to the sewing machine and we'll start sewing these in.
Okay, now we're ready to start the sewing process. So I have my center star here, and I have the 4 half stars that I made. And so how I start here is I just set this up so this is how it's going to look when I get it set in. And these half stars match up perfectly with these points. So I'm going to use the kind of the same method I used when I pieced the Eldon quilt together. I'm going to take this big star, I'm going to fold it in half and fold this point out of the way. I'm going to clip it all together here with a Wonder Clip. And now I'm going to take the seam of this and I'm going to match it up with the point that I previously marked on this large star. And I'm also going to put a pin in the center. Now I've started with a scrap of fabric here. And I'm just going to start sewing right at the tip, 1/4 inch seam. Remove the pins as I go. Now I'm going to stop stitching as I get to that seam. Stop right on that seam and back stitch. Cut my threads. Now I can take that clip off, trim a little fabric scrap off of there. And now this side will match up with this adjacent point. So again, just line up all those raw edges. Put a pin in there. This piece you're going to just want to make sure that it's folded back behind there and that it's not going to get in the way of where you're stitching. Line all these raw edges up. Again, you've got this dot. It's going to get lined up with that seam right there at the 1/4 inch mark. I didn't put dots on these. On the next one I'll show you how to match this up with the dot. This one's a little tricky because it doesn't like to get in there just right, because you've already got it attached on the other side. So now that I've got it in there, I'm just going to kind of straighten that all out. And you really do need this third pin in here. Now making sure that's all laying flat in the back, that all those, that seam down here is out of the way. No need to start where the dot is, just start at the tip. Careful not to stretch anything. You've got bias edges here. I'm using my stiletto to make sure that those seams continue to lay flat. Make sure there's no fold there. Stitch right to the point, back stitch. And there is one of the half stars set in. Now this edge up here is still on the bias, so you're going to have to be careful when pressing to make sure that that doesn't get stretched out. So then, skipping the next V, we're going to put another half star in this next one till there's 4 all the way around the edges. I'm going to step away just for a second, and I'm going to put the marks on these so you can see how to use the marks to align them up. I just use the seam on this one, but I'll show you using the template. I'm going to mark the dot just right here on the point of this. Okay, now I'm ready to put the next one in. Again, orient it the way it should be. Flip it right sides together with the point that's on the left. Fold the star in half along that seam line. Bring this point down. Clip it, keep it out of the way. And a pin through that dot, a pin through this dot, and then one more pin somewhere near the center. Again, we'll start with a scrap of fabric. And sew with a 1/4 inch seam. One more stitch. Then you can take out the clip, match the other point. And you got a dot there. dot on the other side. Match those all up and set that pin, and then one more pin somewhere along the center here. So now this seam gets sewn. Keep those raw edges even. Check underneath and make sure that that's completely free underneath. One more stitch, back stitch. Cut my threads. Now I've got two more of these to do. And I am going to, once I get all four of these inserted, I'm going to press those seams toward this larger center star. And then once that's finished, we'll inset the square full stars. So, be back in a little bit. Okay, now we have the 4 half stars set in, and I've carefully pressed the seams toward the center star, being careful to keep these seams that were already pressed open, to keep them open. And at this, by this stage, you've got a lot of bulk here. There's a lot of seams, and the block is getting pretty bulky. So the neater you are with your pressing, the better of an end result you'll have. So now what we're going to do is set in all of these last 4 full stars into the corners. So this is really not any different. I'm going to take the block, fold it in half at that intersection, pull this wrong intersection, there we go, and pull this down, and I'm gonna put a wonder clip on there. Here is my full star, right sides together. This matches up really nicely with your corner there. Again, just 3 pins. Here in the corner is the critical part. Put your pin through there, through the dot that's on the large star, and then in the center, again, one more pin to just hold it all together. You don't need to start in and back stitch, you just stitch from the edge. And we're going to stitch down to the dot. Back stitch, and then I can take the clip out. I'm going to want to restart with my scrap of fabric, and then same as before. Now this side folds in, and again, just match those raw edges. Pin through that point. Should meet the other point on the other side. And there's the first of the 4 full stars getting set into the corners. Again, we're just going to continue on. I've got 3 more to do. When these are done, they're also going to get pressed toward the center star. So let's do another one. Clipping this out of the way really helps. Again, 1/4 inch seam, and as usual I have my seam length or my stitch length set to 1.9. I'm sewing on my Bernina 790 plus, and I'm using a 37D foot. You always need to backstitch there for these Y seams. And anytime I'm starting on a raw edge of fabric, I always use a little scrap to start out. Now again, we're going to just line these raw edges up. Keep that excess fabric out of the way. I like to use my stiletto to hold those seams down and also make sure I keep those raw edges aligned. Alright, I'm going to continue on putting the rest of these in. We'll get it pressed, and I'll show you the finished block. And now we have a finished Star Upon Stars block. And if you find this information helpful, this video useful, please like, share, and subscribe. And the next time I'll be constructing the sashing for these blocks. And in the meantime, you guys can just continue making more of these star blocks. It's probably going to be a few weeks before I get another video put together, as I'll be going on vacation. But I hope you've enjoyed this series so far, and that you'll continue to join me as we continue making this beautiful quilt. Thank you very much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.